Let's go out on video chat now to the foothills and join our good friend Craig Button. Always looking forward to this visit today. Mr. Button, how are you doing, sir?
I am really good, Mr. Pedersen. How are you doing? The cold is lifting on the prairies. And you know, nobody has to tell you or me about dealing with the cold. It's what we do. People go, how do you do it? Well, if you don't do it, what are you going to do? But the polar vortex really sat in here for quite a long time.
You know, we might actually talk hockey in this segment, but I'm predicting we might not. But I had a lady this morning, John Lynch's wife, say that she went out into the to plug in their car this morning in her house coat, and it was actually warm. It was minus 20. That's a Saskatchewan thing there. So that's one. He's the Don Cherry of football, Craig, 83-year-old guy, graduated with my dad in high school, and I have him on the show once a week. But I got a buddy by the name of Bob Merrier, sober coach in Montreal, sober coach to the Stars. And he told me that you and your brother Todd grew up not far from them in this area of Montreal. And I said, I thought Craig was a Michigan guy. What's this story? Did you grow up in Montreal?
Yeah, I did. And the Merriers, I know the Merriers very well. I know Bob, like growing up with them. But I lived in Michigan for 12 years. We moved the Minnesota North Stars when I started with the North Stars in '88. My wife and I moved to Michigan. My wife was working with the COA, Canadian Olympic Association at the time, and they were moving their offices to Ottawa. And so we said, hey, why don't we try to do this? Why don't we see what happens and take it from there? And I mean, our girls were born in Ann Arbor, Michigan. We lived right there, half a mile from Michigan Stadium. It was an unbelievable experience. You know, Rod, I was thinking the other day. I was watching. Have you seen the Russian Five?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, really, really, really impressive. I mean, Igor Larionov is a very good friend of mine, and his brother Evgeny worked with your dad and myself with the Minnesota North Stars and Dallas Stars for a number of years. So Igor's a real dear friend. But I started to think, 1989, Michigan basketball won the NCAA championship. You might remember Ramil Robinson. I mean, he was a big part of that. Then the Fab Five came in. And, that was a big thing in Michigan, Ann Arbor, and in Detroit area. Then, the hockey team, the University of Michigan hockey team won 2 national championships. The Michigan football team in '97 won a national championship. The Detroit Red Wings won those Stanley Cups with the Russian Five. The Detroit Pistons were winning NBA championships. And as I was watching the Russian Five, I was thinking, boy, were we ever in a glorious time in the Detroit, Ann Arbor area during our time there. It really was. Like, upon reflection, I go, boy, how lucky were we?
Oh, for sure. And it's funny you say that. So you didn't know at the time how great it was. It's like Bruce Franklin, and we were talking about the last dance with the Bulls. He's working for the Blackhawks, and you don't realize at the time what's going on with your neighbors in the United Center. But anyways, with Bobby Merrier, he and I are in the same field, as you know. We talk almost every day. So he said to please say hi to Craig next time that you're on, so I'm doing that. And then the other thing, Kathy Overton's coming on next segment. 5th with Team Manitoba, and she's coming on from the Calgary Bubble. Well, you know who her dad is. The name rings a bell, right?
Yeah. I worked with her dad, Doug, for a long time. So here's this connections. You want connections, right? You want connections. So my wife works with the Calgary Sport Institute, part of the institutes across Canada, involved with the COC, Canadian Olympic Committee. And so her and her group are the ones that have set up the bubble, the curling bubble in Calgary here at Winsport.
Wow. Well, so I was telling these guys. What
other connections do we need here? You got Bobby Merrier, you got Kathy Overton, Doug Overton, your dad, me, Igor Larionov. We're going right around the world with these connections.
I know. Who would think, right? It's not 6 degrees of separation. It's like 2. But anyways, Doug Overton, a legendary scout, and his son too, right? Doug Jr.
was with
Doug
you
Jr.,
guys.
Yeah, as I recall.
Was.
So,
well, and think about it, back, and we talk about your dad, who was such a terrific person. I mean, so Doug Jr. was doing part-time work out of Manitoba. Your dad was a really influential person because, the way we did it in the West was, Brad Robson kind of oversaw kind of the West with everybody, but your dad took care of Saskatchewan, and then Doug Jr. took care of Manitoba, and then then they collaborated and corroborated on who the players were, and really guided and tried to make sure, okay, here's who you need to see, and here's who you and in a lot of cases, we didn't see players we drafted because we had such great confidence in our scouting group. Your dad, Brad Robson, Doug Jr., our whole network of scouts. This idea that you go out and Les Jackson or Tim Bernhardt or myself or Bobby Jernander, we didn't see all the players. We couldn't see all the players. So we had to understand that the people that worked alongside us were so good at what they did. I can tell you this, Rod, those players that we drafted that I didn't see play, but your dad would say, hey, I really believe in this guy. He knew what we were looking for. Boom, away you go.
Yeah, and did a heck of a lot of winning with that Stars franchise, right? So what you were doing.
But the key, the people that were involved, like, you know what? They were winners in everything they did in life. And, if I ever wanted to put a resume together of the number of people, Doug Overton Sr. was an executive with 3M. He retired from 3M to come and do full-time scouting. He was doing part-time scouting. I could put those resumes together. People would be just not floored, but talk about impressive people outside of hockey. They were all of that and more.
Well, I hope Kathy's watching. I hope she's logged in because we've been talking about her family a lot. Like I said, she's coming up next segment. But a lot of questions are coming in from the viewers. Our director of scouting, by the way, Craig Smith. We have one here at the Rod Pedersen Show. Craig, he's a football.
Right on.
Yeah, his name's Craig Smith. He's worked 20 years in the CFL, won 2 Grey Cups. He says, big regret not meeting Rod's dad. Well, I'll fill you in someday, Smitty. It would take a couple lunches to do that. But to the NHL. I kind of enjoyed last night's schedule, Craig, because it was a break from the Scotia North Division. Because when that's on, that's all that I watch. It was nice to see Ty Smith, Austin Wagner, those guys play last night. I don't know how you felt about last night's NHL slate.
Well, no, I loved it too because, first of all, you can tap in the West here, right? So, for me in the Mountain Time Zone, I start watching the games at 5, and I'm in bed by 10 to 11 because I got all the West games. The Vegas, Colorado game last night, fantastic game. I mean, I got to say this. Bowen Byram's going to be a superstar. Oh boy, is he good! And he's only getting better with each passing game. And you talk about how about Jared Anderson-Dolan with the LA Kings? From Calgary here, finding his way in the lineup, and he keeps playing like this. He's not coming out of the lineup. So Ty Smith, I mean, you've watched Ty, Rod. The guy is poised to the nth degree. The next time I see Ty panic, will be the first time. You remember that Seinfeld episode where George Costanza's running away from the birthday party during the fire?
Yeah.
Ty Smith would never, ever even think about doing that.
No, he's so poised. I couldn't believe it last night. I think they had him on the top D pair. I'm so glad I can watch this Devils-Rangers game, which 29 seconds in, the gloves are on the ice and they're fighting. I talked to Kelly McCrimmon the other day about Bowen Byram, and he was like, this guy's unbelievable. Yeah. So, I don't know how they got him where they were picking, obviously, Colorado. But when you say that, we got the Lake Tahoe games coming up. I didn't really enjoy the Vegas-Colorado game. The Golden Knights are my team now. It was a little too defensive for me. I'm used to this Scotia North 11 goals a night, Craig.
Well, are you used to 11 goals a night and the bad goaltending, or do you want to see some good goaltending? Ray Ferraro always talks about it. He goes, I want to see goals, but I don't want to see bad goaltending. I want to see opportunities and everything. But what ends up happening, and I think that because you got 2 really good offensive teams, Rod, in Colorado and Vegas, is that they have so much respect for one another that they know if they open up a little bit, the other team's going to be able to take full advantage. So, good teams, understand who their opponent is and they adjust accordingly. And I watch that game and I just see, to me, they're Stanley Cup contenders, both those teams. And, Cale Makar didn't play last night. Shea Theodore was back in the lineup after missing some time. And good teams are going to understand, whoa, we have too much. We cannot open up or we're going to get beat, and we're going to get beat badly. And, that's what makes you a Stanley Cup contender.
How do you feel? The reason I was talking to Krim, by the way, was I said, are you sending Peyton Krebs back? And he was like, I don't want to, but we have to, because he's got 5 points in 4 games, I think. How do you feel about these AHL teams sending the guys back to the Western League because they have to? I think if there was a year where you might want to bend that, this would be it. That's my thought.
Well, think about this, Rod. For Peyton, for Jamie Drysdale, for Braden Schneider, I'm picking off players that played on Team Canada's World Junior team. At the end of the day, you're always trying to test yourself against the higher competition as part of your development, to understand how much faster the game is played at, how much stronger the players are, what you need to work on in the off season to get yourself in the best position for the NHL. So for all those players that are playing in the American Hockey League, start with Peyton, it's such a benefit for them to understand that. So I understand, the CHL NHL agreement. How about I pose this question to you? How excited do you think those players are to come back and play in the CHL this year? There's nothing on the line. They're not playing for anything, right? I think it's important for players to play. I love what the CHL is doing, the Western Hockey League, a bubble in Regina, Alberta, the U.S. teams, BC, still to be determined. I think it's important for for the players overall to be playing. Let Peyton Krebs play down in Henderson. Let Jamie Drysdale, leave them there. Because why would they? And I'm not suggesting that they're not going to compete or play hard, but they're not going to be excited about coming back.
I know. And Damon Hunt, same thing with the Warriors. He's with San Jose's American Hockey League team. And the one thing that Krim said was, he's like, Peyton has quarantined enough. He's like, I don't really want him sitting in a hotel room for 14 days now on his own, but. He was very classy about it. It's Kelly, right? But it's, and there's a bit of an argument amongst us junior guys over this, because they're saying, well, why would they change the rules? The rules are the rules. And I'm like, they shouldn't be playing in the American League now at 18 and 19. So why not just leave them there if it's just for this year? I think we agree on that. Do we not?
100%, Rod. 100% we agree on it. And again, think about Kelly. I mean, Kelly, what he did in the Western Hockey League as a player, as an executive. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer. We know that, and a terrific believer in junior hockey. So, Kelly also doesn't want to, undercut, the teams and the communities in the Western Hockey League either. But I think that this should be looked at in this regard. Let the players play where they're playing and get yourself set up for the 2020-21 season, which is next September when it begins. Start evaluating your younger players. Get all those players playing that haven't played, Rod. Get evaluations on your younger players. See where they're at, how far along they are in the process of being ready to compete at the Western Hockey League level. And then go from there with the idea that you're looking at 2020, 2021. 21, 22. Sorry. Yep. Yeah. 2021 is a transition year. It's a transition year for all of us with the pandemic, and economically for hockey in the different markets, it's a transition year there too. Just keep it there. And I agree with Kelly. He's going to, so Peyton advances, and now he's going to have to go back and sit around for 14 days. So, no. I wonder if players just said, I'm not going. I understand that, but if Peyton Krebs said, no, I'm not coming back. You know what? I'm not coming back. If you want me, I'll stay here. I'm not coming back to report. I'm not reporting back to my team. And I know how hard it, but I'm not going off the ice for 14 days. I'll go rent ice here in Vegas, and I'm going to train on my own. We know teams would help them, but I really wonder if they all banded together and said, no, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, who would stop them? Yeah, exactly. Well, We are out of time, but I forgot what I was going to tell you. Can you please speak to TSN programming? Because every morning I get up and ride the bike for 60 minutes, and tennis was on today, the Australian Open, and they didn't have Sports Center, and it screwed up my whole day. I learned to work out in the morning from yourself and Les Jackson when you came through town. So can you speak to TSN programming and at least have Sports Center on one of the 5 channels in the morning at 6 a.m.?
Okay, I will make sure to pass that along. You pass on my best regards to Bobby, and I will, and to Kathy when you talk to her, and to Marna, her dear mother. You know, let's not forget about Marna. Marna was great. I used to love when Doug and Marna would get together because, you know, Doug Sr. was such a great guy and everything, but Marna had a way of putting him right in his place.
Wives have a way of doing that, don't they? All right. Always good, Craig. Thanks for the time.
Yeah, for sure. We'll catch up later.
TSN's Craig Button, and Kathy is logged in and ready to go from the curling bubble, and she's having a laugh over that. So I'm glad that she caught a bit of that chat with Craig Button.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.